Hello y'all, it's Valerie here, and I garden in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains in Zone 6B, West Virginia. And today I'm at my top garden. I just got the fencing put around this area. But there's this area behind me that's on the outside of the fence that I'm going to plant some of my onions in. Now, I could have already had my onions out, but due to things being rebuilt, I didn't really have any place, like my garden beds, due to them being rebuilt, I didn't really have a place to put them. So now that the fence is up here, I can go ahead and plant this little patch that's behind me because we won't need to walk in that area to put up our fence. That's why I was holding out planting anything there, is because I knew that we would be busy walking right across that area to get our fence put up, and I didn't want to have to try to avoid plants. And this area has been amended for several years now. I mean, we'll eventually get these T-posts removed, but this area right here has been amended. It's had compost and all kinds of organic matter. So I'm going to go through and give it a quick weed. There's not a whole lot of weeds. Put down a little bit more hay, and then I'm going to plant these onions.
Soft winds call through the valley low, golden fields where daffodils grow, dogwood blossoms white as lace, waking dreams in a warm embrace. Oh, the rivers run free and the robins.
So I have a couple different kinds of onions with me. I have this Academa Salad Red, and because I didn't get these out in a timely manner, some of them did die off, but that's okay because I have several trays. I have this yellow sweet Spanish onion. I have a tray of those. And then I have a few of these Zebrune, Zebrune shallots. So I'm going to plant these 3 trays. And then if I have more room up here, which I probably won't, but if I for some reason have more room up here, then I'll fill it in with another one of the trays that I have. But I think that this is pretty much going to fill up this bed. And I think I'm going to start with the shallots, then plant the red onion, and then plant the yellow onion, so the red separates the two, and it'll make it easier to tell apart at a glance.
Sing April's promise in everything, with petals falling soft and still. I hear your voice in the daffodils. Morning light through the branches high, cotton clouds in a painted sky, barefoot steps on dewy ground.
I don't know if you can see this, but I got this whole bed planted. Just wanted to kind of show you that. All the way down to the very end, so it did take all of those trays. I did want to come on here and talk about a couple of things. When you plant your onions, I saved one of these little babies so you could see. Because this one isn't doing very well, but it's still got a bulb so I can show you. See how it's got this tiny little bulb here? You only want to bury about this much of it. You want to leave a good portion of that bulb sticking up. So if it's a bigger bulb, just kind of scale it up. You know, you just cover the roots and barely part of that little, hold on, let's see. You just cover the roots and the bottom part of the bulb, but you try to leave as much of it sticking out of the ground as possible. I planted my onions somewhere between 5 and 6 inches apart. Some may be a little less, some may be a little more because I wasn't using them, a measurer. I didn't use anything to measure them, so it's not exact. Every year when I start to plant out, I'm so full of hope that everything does well. And in years past, I have planted my onions in soil that wasn't great. So I didn't get very big onions, with the exception of the time I planted them where my asparagus is planted now. When I planted my onions there, I did get really good bulbs. But that's because that soil had had a lot of organic matter over the years, because we used to have a wood pile there. And so when we moved that wood pile, there was a lot of just organic matter that had broken down and composted in place over the years. So I had really good luck down there, but now it's full of asparagus. This bed behind me has had a lot of amendments throughout the years. I've layered in compost, I've layered in leaves, we've mulched it with hay, we've mulched it with the peanut shell. So, and all of that's broken down. I don't know if you could see as I was digging through there, but all that dirt that I dug up as I was planting was nice and black, and it was full of worms. So I'm hopeful that this year, if the conditions are right and nothing else goes wrong, that I get some decent bulbs. Who knows? I know part of the problem in the past has been just me putting them in really hard clay soil. I also do mulch around my bulbs. I tend to use hay because it's easy to push aside for those bulbs to get bigger, as opposed to wood chips. Wood chips I used the first year that I ever planted onions, and they kind of compact around the bulb, and I don't want to say strangle it because it didn't kill it, but they make it harder for the bulb to expand, whereas the hay moves easily, and if you need to, you can move it aside easily. One last thing I wanted to talk about. If any of you all have ever gardened with those disposable, like biodegradable little grow bags, or even those little discs that you get that expand and they have a little supposedly biodegradable shell on it, this has been in the garden for who knows how long, and it's still intact. It's supposed to be biodegradable, and it's not due to lack of water, because as you can see, this thing is moist. We get a lot of moisture here, and where it is clay, where if it's down deep enough, it rarely dries out. The top surface of clay dries out and gets really hard and compacted without mulch, but this bed's been mulched. It gets plenty of water, and as you can see, these things don't biodegrade. That's why I do not plant in these any longer. This has to have been in the ground at least 3 years, maybe longer, because last year I had garlic in this bed, which means the previous November to that I had planted the garlic. So that's, quite a while where this wasn't used. So I want to say that this was probably from, 2023 or later, and it's still intact. I mean, yeah, you can rip it. They don't biodegrade. So that's why I always tell people when they use those, just cut them off, tear them off the roots. Don't bury them. They're not going to biodegrade in a timely manner, and they will inhibit your root growth. At least that's what I experienced. So this is the first thing that I grew from seed this year that I'm putting in the ground, with the exception of the peas that I direct seeded. But of the things we set in my greenhouse and started together, this is the first thing that I've actually planted in the ground. And like I said, these could have went out probably a month ago, honestly, but I just didn't have a spot ready for them. I'm sure they're going to be happy to be out of their container and in the ground where they can get some nutrients and spread their legs a little bit. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye.